across the nation.
Raging Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? Yes, sir.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Hello once again, and welcome to the Raging Review podcast. I'm Gerry, joined by Lane, and of course, we have a special guest in the house, friend of the pod, super fan, the pride of Patterson, Louisiana, Mr. Kevin Dore. Gentlemen, how are y'all tonight?
Pretty good. Watching the Cajuns basketball team win right now, which is
so
rare.
Far, so good. No, so far, so good.
Yep, doing pretty good, Gerry. Appreciate y'all having me again.
No, of course, man. Of course. Always a pleasure having you again. Or always a pleasure having you on. Just want to let everybody know that we're going to discuss a lot tonight. Nick's a little bit under the weather. He's back home in Houston trying to recover. So get well soon, Nick. Hugs and kisses, the whole 9 yards. So right now, like we talked about, or like Lane mentioned, Louisiana men's basketball currently taking the lead or leading App State late in the second half. Hopefully Cajuns can hold on. We'll get more into that as time goes on. We'll talk some football. Cajuns playing in the New Mexico Bowl versus the Horned Frogs of TCU. We'll also discuss some honors that a certain few players on our team received, including a big one, probably one of the bigger individual honors for a particular special teams player and friend of the pod. Actually, two of them, both of them. So, yeah, got a lot to talk about. But first, before we do, guys, I got to ask, is it just me, or I mentioned this yesterday on social media? We're officially 1 week away from Christmas. Okay. It's December 18th. And for some reason, when I walk outside, I feel like I want to go to the beach. Am I imagining things? What's going on?
No, you're definitely not imagining things. It's been a little. Today and yesterday weren't bad. Today and yesterday was actually perfect beach weather. But like last weekend, it was just muggy and hot and just typical December can't make up its mind type of weather. I wouldn't want to go to the beach in that kind of weather, but today and yesterday were perfect beach days. It was nice temp, good humidity, definitely not Christmas weather.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with this Louisiana weather. It can't make up its mind. Not that I would want to go to a beach, but just somewhere comfy and kick up and drink some beer or whiskey or whatever.
Yeah, it's really strange. It's really strange. I'm looking forward. Like, having kids, I must admit, like, you get the full Christmas vibe because, you're getting gifts and you're talking about going to see Santa. And we did the sleigh ride thing last week, and we actually checked out Christmas in the Park at Moncus Park last week, which was a lot of fun. And so with all of these different Christmas events, you get to really experience Christmas through your child's eyes. And that's the beauty of it, because, the older we get, the more Christmas, as much as people love Christmas, it's still very commercialized to where you got to get the gifts and you got to do all of these different steps leading up to it. And so I'm trying to take it in. Like today, I was listening to Christmas music. I'm in the car and I get out and I'm in t-shirt and shorts and it's like 80 degrees. I'm like, man, this doesn't feel, Jingle Bell Rock just doesn't fit here, maybe it's something, maybe it's just me, but I don't know. I thought that I thought I'd get that off my chest. Yeah. Big Super says it's hot in here in New Orleans also. Yeah, no, trust me, I know. I remember years back in New Orleans, we had a white Christmas on Christmas Day. And, it was great because you wake up to opening gifts and experiencing the snow. And then here we are now, and I'm literally outside in T-shirt and shorts. So hopefully it cools off a little bit more. I kind of want to get more into the spirit of Christmas, but it doesn't really feel like it. It doesn't feel like December right now at all.
Just hold
So,
on a little bit because there's a cool front coming through.
good. Very good.
It's going to be in the 30s in a couple days.
Yeah. So Friday and Saturday, specifically.
Nice.
Then it jumps back into the 70s.
Again.
Right. And that's another thing too, guys. Hydrate, take your vitamins, do what you can to make sure you don't catch the flu or something, right? There's the flu, there's RSV, I don't know if COVID's still around as much, but sinus infections and you name it. There's the whole 9 yards. So a lot of doctor visits this time of year. So everybody kind of stay healthy and wash your hands and stay sanitized. But anyway, let's get down to brass tacks. So we'll start off with Raging Cajuns football. Louisiana Raging Cajuns heading over to New Mexico, or Albuquerque, New Mexico, on December 28th, as it will take on the Horned Frogs of TCU. TCU comes in with an 8-4 record. I believe they were 5-3 in the Big 12. Definitely by far the best opponent for the Raging Cajuns in a bowl game in modern history. This football team, TCU, just played in a national title game two years ago. Now, granted, Georgia blew them out, and it was a total spanking, but they still played in a national championship. And so perception wise, I think this game is definitely important for our football program, because I do think we have a lot of momentum going for us. Right now we have the new stadium being built, which will be completed come next fall. We just had some really, really nice additions to our team, in particular, Walker Howard, who committed to UL. I know we have some opportunities to really build some momentum on these different things. And, obviously we didn't win the conference championship, but we still won 10 games and hosted one. So a lot of momentum right now, guys. And I just think that beating a TCU team that, even though they're 8-4, they're not, the biggest contender in the Big 12, it's still a brand. It's still a household brand. And you would definitely do that, winning in a bowl game that really we've never played in before. So, I know that there's a lot of frustration with the portal. We'll get into that in a second. I know losing some key players of ours hurts, but if you look around college football, guys, there's a lot of teams losing some key players, and it's not just a Sun Belt team. It's not just teams from the G5. There's a lot of P4 schools losing players as well. So, but yeah, very, very important game coming up for Louisiana, especially not just for winning a bowl game, but perception wise to beat, a team that was the national runner-up just 2 years ago. Huge, huge momentum builder for Louisiana if they were able to get that win.
Yeah, I agree. TCU, I believe one player withdrew from the portal, but I think they have 11 total in the portal, including their leading rusher. So that'll be big for the Cajuns to keep an eye on and see how that plays into everything. I want to say half of them are on offense and half for defense, but I think the majority of them, or maybe a couple more, are on defense. But it'll be interesting to see how the Cajuns match up against them. I know their fans aren't too excited about the matchup. Not sure why they thought they'd get a better bowl going 8-4, but they're in New Mexico and playing in Louisiana. So hopefully it'll be a good matchup.
Yeah, they not only have they lost their number one running back to the transfer portal, their backup running back, their one of their slot receivers, JoJo Earl, they are also in the transfer portal. They got a few linebackers, a safety, a backup safety, I believe an offensive lineman. So they're dealing with some stuff, just like you said, everyone else is. But two of the biggest hits they have right now are receivers Jack Beck and Savion Williams, who are their bread and butter guys this year in offense. They're actually out due to injury. So we'll have that'll be like you said, their number one running back plus their two top pass catchers out will be a huge blow to their offense, because that's really what they do. They pass the ball. I mean, they're the number 7 passing offense in the country. So that'll be a big help to the Cajuns.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how we adjust. Having offensively, having Terrence Carter, Dre Washington, and Harvey Broussard going to the portal. It kind of stings a little bit because, honestly, I think we need all the bells and whistles necessary to have a shot at beating TCU. Like this, it's kind of like the game against it's like the game against Wake Forest, where we had to basically, move the ball effectively offensively, defensively, make some key stops. Special teams had to be on point, both kick coverages and, of course, having guys like Kenny, make the field goals that they made. And yet, I'm curious now to see how that dynamic changes, because like you guys had mentioned, TCU has lost some key guys as well as us. So now it goes back to next man up, right? What do some of our depth look like compared to theirs? And, look, TCU is a Big 12 team, and they are. They're going to have depth at that P4 level. But at the same time, I think our quality of guys, depending on position versus position matchup, I don't think that would be that shouldn't be much of an issue to me. I think it goes back to the original win at the line of scrimmage. Can we win at the line of scrimmage? And I got to tell y'all, after what I saw against Marshall, I'm a little concerned there. Hopefully, if Ben is able to come back, that would make a difference. But that's definitely something that we really need to practice in the next few weeks leading up to this game.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't heard any news on Ben yet, but I'm hoping he'll be back. Considering granted, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the third string quarterback got some playing time in the championship game, but it was kind of out of his element, I guess, at the time. Now he'll get some practice and get some reps, but getting that in-game experience is necessary for him.
Yeah, Beal, I said it so many times. He's so talented, but I just don't think he was ready for that moment. It's a tough spot to be thrown into. And I know, like you said, next man up mentality, but as a freshman quarterback thrown into a conference championship game where you're already struggling to run the football, you're getting whooped up front, and the defense is having some troubles getting off the field as well. It's just kind of like all the odds are stacked against them. So, you can't put too much on his performance, because the kid went out there and he made a few plays. He did make a few nice plays, but when the defense knows that you got a freshman quarterback in there, they're going to load the box. They're going to stuff the run, and they're going to make them throw the ball. They're going to make them beat you. So the formula became simple for Marshall, and that's what they capitalized on.
No doubt. And I'm hopefully Ben is able to come back. And I think first of all, not just the fact that I think the offense clicks with him in there for obvious reasons. When you're the Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year, you're going to have that. You're going to have an offense rolling like that. But also, look, he's been through so much adversity, both he and Lane. Lane. You're Lane. Chandler. Sorry. Chandler. And I feel like if he's able to come back, win or lose, what better way to close out your career than to come play in this bowl game and finish it off? Because he hasn't played in a bowl game yet. He's been hurt every single opportunity he's had a chance to play in a bowl game. And I think, this year, this was his team for most of the season. So we're hoping and keeping our fingers crossed that he's able to get better and put an exclamation point, as Coach Des has alluded to before on this season with his style of play and what he's able to do for the New Mexico Bowl. Just to let everybody know, and look, we'll talk more about this on later, either at the end of this weekend or early next week, leading up to the bowl game. But I just want to kind of get a little touch of preview for the New Mexico Bowl. Do you guys plan on going to New Mexico for the game?
I'm on the fence about it, man. So I have, everyone has that one irrational fear, right? It might be spiders, it might be like deep water. Mine's flying. All right. I just look up at these airplanes 40,000 feet in the air and I get angry because there's no damn reason humans should be that high in the air. Just looking up, it freaks me out, man. I get dizzy just looking up there. So we're thinking about driving, making a few days out of it, a couple of days on the drive, maybe stop halfway, save a little money that way. Like I said, it's going to be tight, but man, it goes back to what you said, Gerry, just wanting to be there for Ben to finish off his career as a Cajun just means everything. Cause that dude, him and Chandler, but they've been through so much with us and they never turn their back on each other or the program or the fans. And, I believe Ben's he's from California, right? Didn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
His previous school, he was at
Fresno State.
Fresno. Okay. Yeah. So I guess it's kind of close to home for him, but, yeah, those guys, like I said on the post game last week, they deserve everything. They deserve all the support in the world. I mean, this is one of the greatest seasons in our school's history. So, if you can, I know it's hard. It'd be great for everyone to try to get out there and fill that stand, fill that side of the stadium up with some vermilion and white. So we're gonna try.
So FYI, guys, if you can't make the bowl game, and look, unfortunately for me, I'm not going to be able to. I'll be visiting family in New Orleans that weekend, but I'll be screaming wherever I am at a TV come kickoff. But if you can't make it to New Mexico, just to let you know, you can donate a ticket and send someone to the game in your place through the Cajuns Care Initiative. Cajuns Care tickets will be donated to first responders, youth organizations, and military groups in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area. So just to let you know, if you can't attend the game, if you want to go to ragingcajuns.com and purchase a ticket anyway, you can purchase the ticket, and the ticket will actually go to somebody in the community in New Mexico. So it is for a good cause. And I plan on doing that. For those of you who can't make it, if you want to spend, I don't know how much money it is. I don't see it in front of me, but if you want to spend, I think what is it, guys? Is it like $25 or something like that?
I think it's 50.
50. Okay. So if you want to spend the $50 to send somebody off to the bowl game, like I said, a first responder, a youth organization or a military group, send someone to the game and in your place and just tell them, make sure they wear red. So you can definitely do that. I know a few people that are just because they can't make it, but you can be there in spirit through somebody else. So it's always a tough bowl season's always tough because, it's the 28th, it's right after Christmas, right between Christmas and New Year's. Sometimes traveling to New Mexico is not easy. Traveling to Albuquerque is not easy. I mean, flights, they're a little more expensive, but if you have the money and you want to get away and you want to go see some nice Western scenery, you can go or do what Kevin's doing, possibly maybe drive. It might take a little while, but if you want to go check out the Texas countryside and make a few stops on the way, you could do that as well. So
16 hours. So if that's slight work, right?
16-hour drive. Yeah. So definitely just to let everybody know, you can do that. There are opportunities, but again, if you can't make it, be sure to buy a ticket and it can be, somebody will go in your place. It can be donated to a local nonprofit or a local organization down in Albuquerque. So let's move on real quick, unless you guys have any final thoughts about the bowl game. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, man, pretty much covers it all. I mean, I think people, I don't know. I'm not feeling too much buzz around the bowl game. I feel like people need to get excited. Like you said, perception-wise, this is a huge game for our program. I mean, is it 4 Power 4 wins we have in our school's football history, right?
Let's see. We've beaten
Texas A&M, Iowa State, Kansas State, and Wake.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to include like Cincinnati back in the 70s, I mean, they're a Big 12 school now. We've beaten Houston, I mean, there's a few. Yeah.
But this is the first time in program history we're playing a Power 4 in a bowl game. This is the first time it's the first time in program history we have a chance to go 2-0 against Power 4 opponents in a season. And for that to be in the bowl game, but you can finish the year with 11 wins, which how many times have we done that? 3 or 4? 2020, 2021,
2019, 2020, 2021,
19.
and this year, so 4.
So I mean, man, that's a special thing, and anyone that's been a part of this season so far knows how fun it's been. So I just think people need to embrace this bowl game more. Just do everything you can to endorse it, and like I said, just support the Cajuns.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun, and we'll talk more about that next week. So real quickly, guys, first of all, we got to give a shout out. We got some shout outs to give for Louisiana football. Lou Groza Award winner. The Lou Groza Award is basically it's almost like the MVP for kickers. And it is a huge award. It's an award where you basically, I mean, you're the best kicker in America. And what better person to get it than Kenny the kicker, Kenny Almendarez, the 2024 Lou Groza Award winner. Congratulations. Kenny's just a stand-up guy, great teammate, great kicker, obviously, great friend of the pod. Gotten to know him over the years. We're going to miss him terribly, not just the fact that he's a great kicker, but he's also a great person, good guy, and so well-deserved. Huge honor for Kenny. Huge honor for the Louisiana football program. I mean, I don't know, Kevin, if we've had an award winner like that before, individual award winner of that high of an honor. So congratulations to Kenny for taking the Lou Groza Award. I mean, that's a huge deal, huge deal, and a huge award coming home to Louisiana.
Yeah, this is the first time in program history we've had I forget the association, but a major college football award come home to a Raging Cajun. So that's huge. But shout out Kenny the kicker. We love him.
Yeah, and A says that he thinks Kenny was the first. I think so too. I don't know anybody else that has had that. So shout out to Kenny. Huge honor, huge award, and proud of you, buddy. Proud of you. Just keep that leg loose for the bowl game because we're going to need it a few instances. And also, not to mention Kenny, basically getting a unanimous All-American honors all across the board. First team AP All-American for Kenny Almendarez, which is another honor. And of course, we've had a few All-Americans in the past, Kevin Dotson, Robert Hunt, to name a few recently. But I think Max Mitchell was too, or Max Mitchell was an honorable mention or something like that. But huge honor for Kenny. I mean, first team AP All-American, that's extremely hard to win. And so for him to get that, again, that's another honor that's brought back to the University of Louisiana and the Raging Cajun football program. In the 100 or so something years we've been around, we've never had that. So congratulations to Kenny there. Also, Dalen Cambry, another friend of the pod, Kenny's partner in crime, right? The holder, Dalen the holder. We call him Kenny the kicker, and there's Dalen the holder. Dalen, second team special teams All-American for the College Football Network, and first team All-American for PFF College. So congratulations to Dalen. We always talk about the duo, both of you. As much as we love the duo, the duos are now All-Americans. So great honor for Dalen. Shout out to Dalen. Huge honor. And we couldn't be, whether it's us at the pod or Cajun Nation, to both Kenny Almendarez and Dalen Cambry, couldn't be prouder. Could not be prouder.
Yeah, shout out to Dalen too. I believe he was tied for the lead or second maybe in the country on special teams tackles this year. So not only, look, as a former kicker myself, I understand the process. I think, Gerry, you were a kicker too, right?
I almost went out. It's so funny story. The head coach at the time, who was actually a former UL coach, he was the head coach at Jesuit. He actually coached at UL in the early 90s. And he actually had asked me to go out for kicker. And as pitiful as it sounds, I actually didn't do it because we had a lot of our games on Saturday because we have limited amount of stadiums to play in New Orleans. So unfortunately for me, I did not want to play a game on Saturday. So I just didn't go out. I'm kind of, do I regret it? I don't know. I enjoyed my college football on Saturdays. Now, if I would have lived in Lafayette and, our games were played on Friday night, I would have jumped at the opportunity to go out as a kicker. I want to say my longest distance. I want to say I'd go out to STM sometimes back in college, and I would bring the holder and everything because for some reason I love kicking. I don't know what it was, but one time with the wind, it was about a 10-mile-an-hour tailwind. I actually drove one from 55. So I will say, but that's with no pressure. That's with nobody jumping in my face. That was just me kicking it from it had that high school tee with the holder on top. So
2-inch tee,
yeah, I hit one from 55 with the wind. So that was pretty cool. I could probably hit it from between 40 and 45, I'd say, when in my prime.
You think you can still hit? Dude, I still go to the field every Sunday now. I go every Sunday and kick and try to keep my game sharp. You think you still got it or what?
I could probably go if I practiced, I could probably go between 35 and 40.
Well, that's
I'd
about
say
where
right
I'm
now.
at. So
yeah, I mean, I'm getting old too, so I don't have the flexibility I had back in the day.
That's
so
what it takes, bro. That's what it takes.
But anyway, let's move on. So let's talk a little bit about the portal. Today we had breaking news that Carmicah Glass is officially in the portal. And that's a tough loss. That's a tough break, I would say. I would have expected him to stick around, especially after he transferred from Missouri, had a breakout season, and now he's back in the portal. And, let's talk a little bit about the portal, right? I mean, look, the portal can giveth and the portal definitely taketh away, right? I think what's frustrating for me is that you have some of these guys that are going in the portal, and I don't really understand if they know that, like, I don't know if they really know that it's beneficial to them. Makes sense? Like, I don't know if they're being misguided to go where it's while they're playing now, they go to another team and they ride the bench as a third stringer, right? So you look at some of these players, like, for example, you look at TJ Finley. He announced his commitment to Tulane. That's his fifth school in what, 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
I mean, that's wow. I mean,
he's the Ryan Fitzpatrick of college football.
It is open free agency. And, I don't want to get on these players too much because a lot of times I feel like it's the adults in the room that don't really have the control over these decisions, or don't have control over the whole they have. Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't think it's the players. I think it's the adults in the room that are influencing to make some of these irrational decisions for selfish reasons. Anywhere from the 10 to 15 to 20% payouts that they get, the fact that they're talking to other schools behind the player's back without the player even knowing. I mean, that's dirty. That's some underground stuff. And it's frustrating because, it takes away the amateur side of college football. And I understand, look, from a player's perspective, you want the money, you want the bag, go get it, right? If you're a kid, somebody throws $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 at you. I mean, in my opinion, you'd be kind of dumb not to take it, right? Especially if you've never seen money like that. But at the same time, it's the precedence that it sets, right? It goes beyond just college football. It goes beyond the idea of, they want to make money. What's going to happen when these players go into the real world and they land at a job and they don't like it there after 6 months or 4 months, and they just get up and leave? They just leave and then they go hop jobs, right? It's the precedence that it sets that bothers me. But what do I know? I'm just a podcast guy. I know nothing. But from a standpoint of a business, I understand why these agencies want that, because they're making money. They're making money too. But they're doing it at the expense of these young players who, a lot of them don't really understand the concept of what exactly they're doing.
Yeah, I think that it's not what college football should be about. Like you said, it takes away the amateurism of the sport, and it takes away what makes college football great. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I know the sport in general makes a lot of money. There's money everywhere. There's money going through the schools and the programs, and uh, it all starts with the players. Without the players, you don't have anything. But so I agree that maybe they should be compensated in some way. They should get a share of what everybody else gets. But I seen something. I think a Tulane writer maybe, or maybe someone from the New Orleans area had touched on talking about, I think, Mensa, but some of these agents can make up to, was it like 35% of the NIL money?
I know it's 20. I know it's 20.
Yeah, it was either 25 or 20, something like that. I mean, it was a large amount in my opinion. And it just is like it goes back to what you said. I mean, these guys, these adults or whatever, they could be manipulating these kids to go to a school with maybe more money, more than maybe what their heart wants to do, and stay committed to a smaller school or a school that they wanted to go to since they were kids, a school maybe close to home, a school maybe mom or dad went to, a school maybe that fits their scheme and what's best for their future. I mean, these agents could be influencing that, and it takes away from the whole thing. I mean, I just think there needs to be some sort of regulation, and not just the transfer portal, but maybe the NIL. I mean, like the kid from Underwood that's going to Michigan, is it like $12 million?
Yeah, he took it for 12, and that's how they were able to counter to get him and have him decommit.
That's an
And commit to
outrageous
Michigan.
amount of money for a 17 or 16-year-old kid. I mean, these could be contracts that you're signing in the NFL, NFL rookie contracts, but that's the difference. In the NFL, when you're getting that much money, you're signing a contract, right? You're bound to that school or that team if you want to get paid. And I feel like these college athletes, when they're getting offered these ridiculous amounts of NIL money, they're just able to freelance, free roam willy-nilly to whatever school they want to go to, or whatever school that gives them more money is usually the case. And like I said, I'm not trying to put down any student athletes that transfer, or I'm not being salty because we got a few guys that left or whatever. Look, if you don't want to be here, good luck. It'll be next man up. And we want people that want to be here at UL. But anyway, I agree that it's skewing the what makes college football great.
Yeah, I agree. And like some places, like teams are like arguing over how much they're spending for one guy and this, that, and the other. And there's teams that get upset because they don't get the guy that they wanted because the other school offers more money. And then I think it was Alabama or somebody was upset because they're getting their players poached, but they're poaching other people's players. And it's just a lot of mess and sliminess going around, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. And now it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to tame it. I don't know if they will. I think the cat's been let out the bag. I think we're at the point now where you've got these schools that are really, really putting in a lot of money and a lot of resources into NIL to where it's just going to, I think a snowball effect's about to happen. So it's almost like there's no long-term thinking on what this is going to turn out to be. I think it's just kind of a day-by-day thing, and it's kind of unfortunate. It's kind of scary, but we'll see what happens.
Did y'all touch on the Louisiana legislature while I was gone?
No, I did not.
With the NIL stuff?
No.
Apparently, I saw it earlier. I think it was Ross Dellinger tweeted it out, where several schools in Louisiana, due to like a dual pod reimbursement or something, are getting money to NIL. and a good chunk of it is going towards LSU, and then I guess the remaining, whatever it is, 25% is going to several universities within Louisiana. I think they projected LSU to get $225,000, and then tens of $1,000s left over is split amongst the rest of the schools, which that just shows you how much unfortunate power Louisiana law has over athletics.
Agreed. And look, that's the name of the game now. And so it'll be interesting to see, the legislature's talking about this. It'll be interesting to see if this can last. It'll be interesting to see if this is sustainable. I don't know, Kevin, what are your thoughts on that?
So what exactly is the legislature doing again? I didn't quite understand what you were saying, Lane.
So let me pull it up 1 second. I know Ross Dellinger tweeted it out earlier today. Let's see. Tweeted a lot out today. Trying to find it. But basically, LSU's getting the majority of the money towards NIL. I want to say there was a settlement with Jewel Pod within the state.
So it's coming from the state, and the state's putting it into our
universities. Yeah,
NIL funding.
Yes, but
and they're giving the majority to LSU. You said,
yeah, like 200,000 of the 250,000 or so.
Well, that's right on par for course, bro.
Yeah, it just shows you how much more they spend on LSU than other universities.
Surprise. It's only been going on for the last 100 years.
Yeah.
No, that all goes back to, like you said, just this has been going on for years and years and years. And I just don't think that they understand how much more successful our state would be if we could share the wealth. There's plenty of room in this state for 3 or 4 really good FBS programs. And I'm talking just in football, but everything.
Well, I think UL was included there too, right, Lane? Like in the article.
In the original statement, we weren't, but we were included in the totality of schools. A total of $281,000, which isn't much in terms of NIL, but $281,000 on NIL deals, with $225,000 going to LSU athletes over 3 years. The rest will be paid to ULM, Grambling, Northwestern State, Southeastern, McNeese, and UL. So basically LSU and the majority of the UL system schools.
I mean, yeah, $280,000 NIL money is not a lot for LSU, but especially not when 200,000 of it's going to them, and you're splitting the little crumbs up to the rest of these schools that really need it as opposed to them. I mean, they have, what's their NIL funding, like $10 million? Probably more. Yeah, I mean, ours is.
I just read this first part of this. So the total settlement is $10 million, but only 280,000 of that is going to NIL.
Okay.
So I don't know where the rest of it's going, but
for the majority to be going to a school that doesn't need it and that can sustain NIL money on their own,
I think
what does that say about the legislature?
Exactly. I think somebody mentioned it earlier. I think the other schools get around 9-10 grand. Maybe. Like, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, we're fighting
in regards to NIL. Yeah. It just shows you.
Well, it's something. It's something, I guess,
I guess.
But I mean,
I'm sure that's what they're saying too, Gerry. Hey, you're getting something.
It's like bread, like the breadcreams. The breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
that's what one football player, I guess.
Yeah, we get the breadcrumbs. I mean, at least I look with the way the state of Louisiana has always been with that kind of stuff. I mean, look, it's a start. We're getting something here, right? I mean, in the past, it was you get nothing.
Just happy to be included.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. Look, if you look at our history in the past, I mean, we just getting breadcrumbs is a start, right? We obviously the school in Baton Rouge, you don't get the filet mignon. We're going to get the Campbell's chicken noodle soup, but hey, it's better than nothing, I guess, anyway, it is what it is. This whole thing is just a whole, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean NIL and it goes to transfer portal too. I mean, it's all just it's so everywhere, bro. I mean, I feel like, and I know in high school, if you transfer schools, you have to sit out a year. And if I'm not mistaken, it used to be that way in college, right?
Yeah, it used to be, but I guess they found so many loopholes that they got around it. So they just went away with it, I guess.
Well, like there's
I
so
think
much
it was.
money
I
around.
think it came after COVID, really, when it became more rampant.
Yeah, that sounds about that time. But I think that would be. I mean, you seen some transfers here and there back then, but you just didn't see nearly as many like the Finley guy you said, Jerry. 5 schools in 5 years. The college football journeyman. I mean, what are we doing? That's not what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I hope it changes, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't see it right now. I think that it's only going to get worse before it gets better.
I feel like it has to happen to the big guys before anything trickles down or changes.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's starting to happen to him. It's starting to happen to him. We're starting to see it.
Man, I don't even know where to begin with all that. I don't. But unfortunately, right now it is what it is. But yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. Well, guys, let's move on real quick. So, we could talk all day about the NIL stuff, but what we're going to do is let's take a look at the bowl season around the Sun Belt. I know I had mentioned bowl games earlier. I'm going to pull up the bowl season right now if I can. Let's see. Bowl season. Pull up this schedule real quick. Let's see here. Just bear with me for a second. We'll talk about
Sun Belt 2-0.
Yeah, so far, great start. Great start with more to come tomorrow. So, to your point, Kevin, Sun Belt started off with a 2-0 record, off to a great start. Starting on Saturday, the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama, South Alabama, finishing the season off right with a 30-23 win over Western Michigan. South Alabama now finishes the year with a 7-6 record. And earlier today, JMU took on Western Kentucky out of CUSA, and JMU took care of business, winning their first ever FBS bowl game by defeating Western Kentucky 27-17. They finished the year with a 9-4 record. Good for them. Congratulations to the Dukes. But off to a great start. Tomorrow night, the Arnold Carriers New Orleans Bowl that will be Georgia Southern will take on Sam Houston, and kickoff will be at 6:00 on Monday, December 23rd. The Myrtle Beach Bowl, Coastal Carolina gets to stay at home to take on UTSA out of the American Conference. Kickoff will be at 10 a.m. Moving on to, let's see, December 26th, the day after Christmas, on Thursday at 8:00, the 68 Ventures Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Arkansas State will take on Bowling Green out of the MAC. That game will be played at Hancock Whitney Bank Stadium on the campus of South Alabama. Followed by yours truly, Louisiana, taking on TCU on December 28th in the Isleta, New Mexico Bowl. Kickoff will be at 1:15, of course, in Albuquerque. Followed by, let's see here. Oh, here's one. Marshall. Let's talk about that for a second. Marshall was scheduled to play Army in the Independence Bowl on December 29th. I'm sorry. Yeah, on December 28th, the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Marshall was scheduled to take on Army in Shreveport, but unfortunately, because of the number of transfers and the amount of coaching staff leaving, they basically backed out. So we went from players opting out a few years ago in the bowl games to now full-fledged teams. And so Marshall came up with the conclusion that they just don't have a team to field. They don't have the depth, so they backed out. And we'll be taking on Army will be taking on Louisiana Tech out of Conference USA with a 5-7 record. So Louisiana Tech was next in line. A lot of people wonder, what about ULM? How come ULM didn't get the next choice? Well, that's because ULM had a lower APR score than Louisiana Tech. So the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs will be replacing Marshall and taking on Army in the Independence Bowl on Saturday, December 28th.
So do you think the location of Louisiana Tech had a bigger pull than the APR? Because there were several teams ahead of Tech in the APR, but they were the one that was selected because they're 30, 45 minutes from Shreveport. So do you think the closeness of Tech played a bigger factor?
I guarantee you that was definitely in the equation. They're right down the road. They've claimed Louisiana Tech in the past has claimed the Shreveport market as their own. So of course they're going to use that. I'm willing to bet that they probably use that this time. Like, hey, this is our market, so let us in. And to say that it was just APR, I don't think so. I think that they probably were kind of one of those teams on call. Like, you do have a few of those teams that are on call. But I will say that location probably had a lot to do with it, because they know they're going to bring fans. They're right down the road, like an hour away, or less than an hour maybe, from Shreveport to Ruston. So yeah, I mean, logistically speaking, it was a good choice for Shreveport, because they're going to travel. I don't know who the other options were, but that probably had a lot to do with it. Yeah. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing, because I think Michigan State was actually, wasn't Michigan State the other school that was getting reported as to take their place?
Yeah, that was one of them. But I guess the distance played a factor in that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think you're right, Lane. I think the distance, the proximity to the bowl game was the biggest selling point for getting La Tech in there. I mean, because if you look at Michigan State and then you look at La Tech, and then it really shouldn't even be a question of which team's a little bit better than the other. I mean, honestly, I was shocked to see La Tech end up with 5 wins. The latest part of their season went.
I didn't even realize they had 5 wins.
Yeah,
they did.
Go ahead.
It's their best year since 2019. 2020 they went 5-5 in 2020 before getting blown out by Georgia Southern in the New Orleans Bowl. Then in 2021, 2022, 2023, they went 3-9 the last 3 seasons before going 5-7 this year. So they actually haven't had a winning, like they're even with a win, they're not going to have a winning season. They haven't had a winning season since 2019. But I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if I think Army's going to it's not going to be a good game. I think Army's going to beat them pretty.
It's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
And
anyway,
even with Army's one of Army's leading rushers in the portal,
it won't make a difference. I think Army's going to pretty much handle them. But anyway,
maybe if you had put Michigan State in there, it could have been a closer game. But putting La Tech in there just because they're driving distance is definitely not the best look for the game, because it's going to get ugly.
It is what it is, fellas. It is what it is. All right, moving on to January 3rd on Friday at 3 o'clock, Serve Pro First Responder Bowl in Dallas, North Texas, out of the American will take on the Texas State Bobcats. Texas State coming off a 7-5 record, second straight bowl appearance for the Bobcats. Let's see, moving forward, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's going to be it. So all the way from today through January Third, you'll have quite a few teams out of the Sun Belt Conference playing for a bowl win. Yeah, this bowl season should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to this. This bowl season should be some good matchups. It's a shame because I feel like bowl games. Kevin, you would ask why don't you feel like more people are excited? I just think bowl games have become a dime a dozen, and what's happened is you've got all of these players opting out. You've got teams opting out now, and to me, I just feel like because the college football playoff is so emphasized, and it's like the end all be all, that it comes to the point where bowl games are just they've almost become kind of an afterthought in many ways. I think for us, this game is important. Like I said, you're playing a good TCU team that played a national title 2 years ago. Beating them would be huge for our program moving forward. We could use that for recruiting. We can use that as momentum for trying to get players through NIL and building out our stadium, cultivating our fan base with that win, right? Letting them know, hey, look who we just beating a Big 12 team, a good Big 12 team. So for some schools, they mean a lot. For others, it's just an extra game. Let's just play what we have and see what happens, and go into the off season and with some experience. It really, the dynamics of bowl games now, it's so all over the place compared to what it was just 10 years ago. But Nick Saban said it. One time a reporter asked Nick Saban a few years ago, why do players opt out? And he basically answered, well, because you guys in the media do nothing but emphasize the college football playoff, and y'all create this perception that if you don't make the playoff, then you're not. I mean, then the bowl game doesn't mean anything. So why should the players care? And I just kind of get that vibe now where not only are players opting out, they're getting into the portal. They're leaving the team. They're not just opting out. They're leaving the team, going looking for other schools. And, Kevin, we talked about that earlier. I will say, though, when it comes to the portal, that needs to change. That needs to change. The portal timeline, make it after bowl season at least. What's the harm in it? You should have a lot of time to decide. You should have a lot of time to decide whether or not you want to stay or go. It shouldn't be before a bowl game. Like if you want to opt out of the bowl game, fine. But going into the portal and committing to other schools before your team even kicks off in a bowl game after you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into that program for so long, I just don't think that's necessary. I think they can change something there. At least I would hope so.
Yeah, what good does it do? I mean, there's 2 transfer portal openings, right? There's one in the spring, I believe, and there's one now, right? So what good does it do opening your transfer portal now? I mean, where are these kids going to go between now and the spring?
Right.
It just, I agree. There should be a definite one transfer portal opening, and not right after your conference championship games. When, I mean, hey, look, if some of these kids really do want to transfer for whatever reason it may be, why not take that extra game, that extra bowl game, and use it to your advantage, and try to put on a show, go out with one last hoorah for your next location. Those coaches are going to see that. So, and yeah, I agree. I don't like the timing of the transfer portal either.
Yeah, I feel like it should be even the day after the championship game, like open it up then. But when it's still technically in season, like it just doesn't make sense, because the players may transfer, but they're not going to be able to practice with the team or do anything like that until the spring anyway. So, right. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, when you see players enter the portal immediately and they get offers right away, it shows you that there's been stuff happening behind everybody's back where it's tampering, or it looks like tampering.
Yep. And
it just makes you wonder, like, how long has it been going on, and how long has so-and-so been reached out to? And it just, especially for the smaller teams, it's like getting poached of their best players. And
yeah, it's happening sooner than people think. Go back to was it the Texas A&M coach? Is it Schlossnagle, the baseball coach? It's the one that
Yeah, he went to Texas from
Went
A&M.
to Texas, but
Played in the championship series just
yeah,
now or
and
recently.
apparently that deal had been done way before that, and he had been recruiting players from Georgia and other schools to go to his future next team, while he's still at A&M, during the season. So I mean, there's players getting tampered with, and it's a big mess.
It is. It is. But I mean, now we're finding out that, I mean, we know tampering's going on. That is completely obvious. We know other teams are talking to players. I mean, heck, I wouldn't be surprised. It's pretty safe to say that some of our players are getting tampered with, right? Other schools calling them up, sending them text messages. Hey man, what's going on? Tell me about what's your experience right now? Hey man, you come over here, we give you 200,000 or 300,000. What are you getting paid there? It's so dirty and gross and nasty, but it is what it is. I keep saying it is what it is because there's really nothing that can fix that right now.
But to go back on what your original topic was, Jerry, we kind of turned it back into the transfer portal stuff, but the bowl game's not meaning as much anymore. That goes back to what we talked about the last time you guys had me on. It's like we're on that threshold of bowl games being important and the playoff being important, and we're right in the middle. I mean, you got the 12-team playoff, and then you're kind of integrating some of that with the bowl games, like the New Year's Six, and then you got the rest of your bowl games, which they haven't taken any out or added any really in a while. So it's kind of like for half the teams you're fighting for a playoff spot, and half the teams you're just fighting for a bowl spot. So it just waters down everything. And I think they should either decide on maybe pulling back on the playoff thing and putting more importance into the bowl games, or expanding the playoff and giving every conference a chance. You get more playoff games, you get more home field playoff games, which, I mean, look at high school football, how exciting that is around America, especially here in Louisiana. When you got these schools are so passionate, and these kids are so passionate, and you got a home playoff game, that means a lot. That might mean a couple home playoff games, or even a road playoff game might mean more than going win the Pop-Tarts Bowl or something, So I think I lean towards expanding the playoff. You could still do your at-larges because obviously your Conference USA champion, versus your SEC runner-up isn't a fair comparison at all. But at the end of the day, everyone's playing to win their conference, and everyone's in the same FBS category. And I think they should all the conferences should get representation in a playoff, plus your at-larges for your really good teams that maybe came up just short in their conference. So I think there's that threshold right there, and it's just like you said, Jerry, that's kind of what makes these bowl games just like, eh.
Well, not only that, I mean, this year specifically, even with the 12-team playoff, there's more teams from two conferences than any other conference. It's become an invitational instead of you playing your way in, when it used to mean that, but it's just not where it needs to be. And like you said, expanding the playoff, adding every conference champion, and then however many at-larges, move it to a 16-team playoff, and then go from there. And
16, 20.
Yeah. I mean, FCS does that, and it works out just fine.
Exactly. High school does it, works out just fine. I mean, the
NFL
does it, it works out.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I guess maybe because of the bowl game participation, because like in the 12-team playoff, every single New Year's Six bowl is included now in the playoff, and they rotate the championship site. So it's similar to what they've experienced last year, except two New Year's Sixes don't rotate out like they did before. Now they're all included. But then at the same time, the first round is played by a team hosting anyway. So I don't know. I believe that it's almost like March Madness, right? Yes, no, you're not going to be as good as maybe the Big Ten champion like in Ohio State. But at the same time, what's the point of playing in an FBS if you're not allowed to compete for a national championship? I mean, why are you there? Why are you there? That's like having an NFL team and saying, well, because your market or budget is small, or your town is small that you play in, that you can't compete for a Super Bowl. Well, that's bull. I don't agree with that. So if you play in a certain, any team that plays in any type of division deserves a shot at a national title. Period. Not saying they're good enough to win it, but you can't have playing it in the FBS or FCS and not allowed to at least try to compete for it. So, I do believe that.
So why do you?
I do agree that everybody should have a chance at least. And look, if you get blown out, you get blown out. I mean, let's be honest. If you look at the last 10 years at the college football playoff, there have been some blowouts from quality teams, the Final Four teams. So why would this be any different? I guess I don't understand the concept behind that.
So most NCAA tournaments have multiple teams. Everybody pretty much has a shot. I mean, look at college baseball, college softball, hockey, everything. Why do you think it's taken football so long to add to the amount of teams?
I think it's because college football has been the only sport that traditionally uses bowl games as a postseason. And I will give them credit for at least somewhat trying to keep that incorporated in the postseason. Like you said, Jerry, with the New Year's Six bowls being part of the semifinals playoff games. And I think they're on the cusp of, we know the playoff can probably make more money and be better overall for the sport, but they're in that transitional phase where they're trying to keep the history and the tradition of college football bowl games, which, I mean, for years it was two teams in your national championship. It was the BCS rankings. Whoever they decided were number 1 and 2 played in whatever bowl game it may be, and now it's your national championship. So you're not given. It's not really a any type of postseason per se, because it just goes strictly off of regular season rankings. So, I think that's just kind of where it's at with the whole bowl game thing. They're trying to keep it there, but I think they know that it's eventually going to get phased out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Something's going to give. Something's going to give in the next 10 years, how that works. Something's going to give. And look, the problem is that you've got guys like Greg Sankey from the SEC trying to talk about how there weren't enough SEC teams in there, basically trying to hype up Alabama's chance at the CFP and how they didn't get in. But my response is, you lost 3 games, including a loss to Vanderbilt. Don't lose to Vanderbilt. You don't lose to Vanderbilt, you're in. And look, I know Vanderbilt had a much improved team this year, but this is the same Vanderbilt team that also lost to 3-9 Georgia State out of the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
So pretty simple. Don't lose to Vanderbilt and you'll get in. And look, I understand you have commissioners trying to take up for their conferences, and I understand the SEC is the SEC, but at the same time, if you really want to talk as if the SEC is in its own league, then you know what? Break away and create your own league. Because that's the way they talk sometimes, especially they're trying to do it in basketball now. Oh, we only want the big schools. Well, then what's the point of March Madness? Why fill out a bracket? People fill out brackets because of the upsets, not because it's all Duke and North Carolina and UConn every year. People like the Cinderellas. People like the Loyola Chicagos and the George Masons. At one time, Gonzaga was like that. So this idea that all of a sudden now, even in March Madness, well, we just need the big schools to compete. No, nonsense. That's not why. They don't call it March Madness because the Blue Bloods play in the Final Four every year. They call it March Madness because it's Cinderella teams, because it's madness when a Bucknell defeats Kansas, or a Canisius defeats North Carolina State, right? That's what people like. That's the point of March Madness. And I know it's a different, people can say, well, that's different, but at the same time, it's not as different as people think when it comes to the CFP and football. Trying to monopolize a conference or a group of teams in a conference, it doesn't help the sport overall. Again, if you want to talk highly about your conference, that's one thing. Trying to eliminate other teams that rightfully earned the spot in the CFP from other conferences and trying to eliminate them because your team wasn't good enough to get in, that's crap. It's crap.
Yeah, I mean, look at like in this. There's only a handful of teams that are really at that level to where they can even consider something like that. And then you got like the Big 12 or the Big 10 and the SEC's talking about maybe splitting off and making their own thing. But you got 6 or 8 teams maybe that are up there at that level, revenue wise or whatever it may be, blue blood wise. And then what about all the Kentuckys and Missouris and Minnesotas? So what about them? They just piggyback off of the little badge on there or the little patch on their chest. It's just I don't think that would work out too good.
No, I agree. It just something needs to change for everybody to be happy. It'll take some time, but you can't have the SEC and the Big 10 or whatever it is now just running roughshod over everybody, trying to get all of their teams in the playoff. It's just not fair for everybody else.
Again, if you want to do that, create your own league.
Yeah.
Create your own league.
Pretty sure that's like what they're talking about. But weren't they talking about doing that though?
Yeah, them in the Big 10, creating their own league, monopolizing. I mean, that's fine. Look, if you want to do that and kill the sport, by all means, go ahead.
I do want to get y'all's opinion on this. I know there's a couple of Sunbelt schools that have stadiums where they have bowl games. And obviously with UL opening a new stadium next year, how cool would it be to have a bowl game at UL? And what would you call it?
Bourbon Bowl.
I like it.
Now Bayou Bowl, Bourbon Bowl.
Yeah, you could do Bayou Bowl. I mean, that's kind of the easy gimme.
Who would sponsor it?
No, I'm thinking of Bayou.
Tabasco. Because they don't sponsor any of our stuff at UL anyway. Might as well do something, have a first, right?
Lafayette Roofing.
Hey, shout out to Darren Domingue. Well, that's a good question. I'd probably go. Yeah, Bayou Bowl, Bourbon Bowl, Boudin Bowl.
You could do the Cajun Bowl. I mean, that only makes sense, right? That's kind of like the easy route.
Cracklin Bowl, the Best Stop Cracklin Bowl.
Best Stop Cracklin Bowl. I mean, you could do like a crawfish bowl or something like that. I mean, there's so many different names. The Pirogue Bowl. I mean, there's so many different names you can have.
Acadiana Bowl.
Well, yeah, I think that could be a good one. That could be a good one. Those are a few. Yeah, those are a few. I would say this would be a good destination for that. I mean, it's obviously not a big city like Dallas or Atlanta, but there's some things fans could do while they're here. You know,
Mobile has a bowl. Shreveport has a bowl. I mean,
true.
I mean, dude, Lafayette's getting a Buc-ee's. Doesn't that qualify us to get a bowl game? That's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting that's breaking news as well. Buc-ee's coming to Lafayette at the corner. I think it's the Louisiana Avenue exit. Come was it summer of 2026?
Yeah, that's gonna be wild to have a Buc-ee's before we have a mascot.
You had to bring that up.
Fever for the mascot.
Maybe Bucky can be the motivation behind, maybe we'll get, we're going to adopt a Bucky Otter to come to the UL games. At least it's something.
Put him in a straw hat and give him a crab trap. He'll be all right.
Maybe a fishing pole, get like I don't know. Maybe one of us can go get a costume at Bucky's and just put on the Otter costume and just show up to the games. Maybe we should just do that.
Yeah. Get some trim boots on the way.
I swear we overcomplicate everything. I love the reaction of people when they say things like, well, what if the fans don't like it? What if it's something? Look, it's never going to be unanimous approval at first. Okay. Hell, Russell Heim went to a local party city or something like that and picked out a chicken costume at the last second. Okay. Because he couldn't decide between if he wanted a dog costume or a chicken costume. And because he was so great at what he did, the Cajun chicken became a legend. And it wasn't like this great idea that he came up with. He literally went to a local costume store and picked out a chicken costume because that was all that was left. So
That's all it takes.
So the point is all these people that are like, well, I don't know about the gator. I don't know if we shouldn't do the bulldog. We shouldn't do this. Don't worry. Who cares? Get something.
They don't have
something. I could give a damn if it's a dog or a gator or a chicken or a crawfish. Just get something. Who cares?
What's funny is they don't even come up with other ideas.
No.
The people that complain, like,
well, I don't want that. I don't want that. What's your idea? We just don't need a mascot. No, we need something. We need something. So I think we're approaching day 500, by the way. So
Shelby said the Bucky's Bowl. She just texted me in the other room.
All right. That's not bad. Okay.
That's a good sponsor to have.
That's not. No, that would be a good sponsor. Or like the Bucky's Boudin Bowl or the Bucky's. It's got to be a B.
No, the Bucky's Beaver Nugget Bowl. Isn't that there? Or the Beef Jerky Bowl. Yeah.
The Beef Jerky Bowl. Yeah.
Like they do the Pop-Tarts for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. We'll just shower the winner in beef jerky.
Beef jerky. There you go. With a Cajun flavor, Cajun spice.
Gotta be, yeah. Yep.
Nice. All right, guys. Real quickly, moving on. Women's basketball. The Cajuns, the ladies took to the hardwood today for the education game, the annual education game. Great opponent, by the way. The Auburn Tigers came to town. First of all, we'll go back to last week as the Cajuns traveled, or this past Sunday, to the PMAC to take on the Tigers down in Baton Rouge. Cajuns came up short against the Tigers by the score of 85-57. Today, once again, in front of 5,877 screaming kids from all elementary schools all over Acadiana in the Lafayette area, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns women's basketball team dropped this game to the Auburn Tigers by the score of 68-51. As you know, I posted some pictures and some video clips on our social media pages. And, it's funny because, I always laugh about the home court advantage, right? How you get a home court advantage. I got to tell y'all, there's nothing more intimidating than 6,000 screaming kids every time we score a basket. When I tell y'all, it is loud. It was loud. And that's why I filmed some of those reactions. I wanted people to see it. It's a lot easier to hear it in person than it is on a video, but I enjoy that annual game. I try my best to take a longer lunch break and go. Had the chance to go today. Got to sit on the floor with our good friend Brad Boyd. He was there with his team and his students, and got to meet a few people down at the game. And it's always fun. It was always fun. Look, the game itself is actually pretty good. The Cajun, look, this team is competitive. They've got some good players. We have one that got hurt during the game. Another one's on the bench right now, injured, and she'll be back hopefully for conference play. Coach Gerry Broadhead and this team can compete in conference. They've got a good chance to really compete. They've got a good chance to make a run. They were pretty competitive today, but look, this Auburn team is a top. I mean, I don't know if they're top 25 now, but they're definitely top 30. If you look at their schedule, they've won some really good games against some good teams, more convincingly than they've did against us today. So I thought we held our own, just not enough. They have size. Auburn had size. They were more physical. They were more athletic. I mean, typical SEC team, but I got to applaud the effort for the girls. They put on a good showing today. Could have been better. Obviously we didn't win, but look, I think if they play like this in conference, they got a shot to make a run in conference. So anyway, fun day today. Again, we're just under 6,000 screaming kids. That's always a blast, and that's a great home court advantage. It looked nice to see the Cajun Dome pretty packed. The girls will return to the hardwood this next Friday, December 27th at 4 o'clock against Dillard, and they will start conference play on December 29th, that Sunday at noon down in Georgia Southern. Just FYI, they'll get the week off during Christmas before that. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Man, my ears are still ringing from the kids. But hey, you know what? I wish they would do it more than once. I wish they do it multiple times a year. You get the crowd there, you get a lot of fans, and it's loud. It's very loud.
I was wondering about that, Jerry. I was actually able to. I knew it was today, but I thought they were doing it later today for some reason. But when I seen the notification on my phone, I tuned in, and man, you're right. Those girls, I knew they were undefeated at home up to this point, and I think they're at 4-5 or 5-5, and if you look at their schedule, they played their non-con schedule. It's been a tough one. So they got, I think, 24 takeaways against Auburn. They had 21, I think they said last week again, or last game against LSU. So those girls can play some basketball. It was fun to watch them, really, and I think they should get a little more support. But I was wondering, Gerry, why don't they do they do an education game like that for the guys?
No, they don't.
I think they should. You'd surpass your season total.
I mean,
that's in one game.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, look, it's a field trip for the kids. They get all the schools around the area involved, and it's a lot of fun.
The kids were into it, man. Just listening to it. Like they weren't just there just to scream and watch the sideshows. They were there into the game.
What's funny is that they played, like, the DJ was playing like music during the timeouts, and they were playing certain rap songs that, it's edited, but all the kids are dancing along with it, and they're all singing along to it. And I turned to one of the people sitting by me, and I looked at her. I said, "How do these kids at the age of 6 or 7 know all of the lyrics to some of the music?" And I'm thinking, do they know what this stuff means? Like, do they really know what this stuff means? And nothing crazy, nothing vulgar, but just stuff that made me laugh, because I'm like, wow, kids, they recognize a lot of modern day music, and it was pretty funny to watch, because they were all dancing and they were all singing in unison. So, like, there was a big chant going on, a sing along, and it makes it look. It was a great atmosphere, just a great atmosphere overall. All right, guys, moving over real quickly to basketball, men's basketball. The Cajuns took to the hardwood after defeating Southeastern last week. They took to the hardwood again against Lamar this past Saturday in the Cajun Dome. And that game, I'll just describe it as unacceptable. Cajuns dropped that was tough. Dropped a hard beat down to Lamar by the score of 74-45. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and a 29-point loss to a Southland team is never fun. It's never acceptable, and it was frustrating. But with that said, tonight the Cajuns took the hardwood again to redeem themselves against App State, conference opener, and they won by the score of 68-62. Louisiana was able to get off to a 23-5 run against App State. App State made a little bit of a comeback towards the end, but just not good enough. I thought the Cajuns had some good inside presence. They made quite a few threes. They played some pretty solid defense for the most part, and they came out with a 68-62 victory and starting off at 1-0 in conference play. With that being said, the Cajuns now stand overall at 3-9, 1-0 in conference play, and they will come back on Sunday to take on Coach Will Wade and the McNeese Cowboys in the Cajun Dome. Tip-off will be at 2 o'clock. You can watch the game on ESPN Plus or listen 96.5 FM radio. The theme will be Christmas in the Dome, and they will take a long Christmas break before hitting the road in Conway, South Carolina on Thursday, January 2nd against Coastal. But in the meantime, the big game will be on Sunday as the Cajuns take on take on McNeese. Tonight was one of those games where I'm looking and I'm watching them play, and I'm just like, where has this been all year? How all of a sudden does this team look like a conference competitor after what I saw on Saturday? It was probably the most opposite style of basketball I've seen. You went from basically getting demolished by Lamar, couldn't make a shot, couldn't play defense, just gave up everything you could to Lamar. And then tonight, you hustled up and down the court. You played good defense. Again, you had a really good inside presence. You were able to shoot from outside. Look, part of that was the fact that App State couldn't shoot to save their life in the first half. But at the same time, we took advantage of that, jumped to a big lead, and we were able to get it done. So, I'm not going to complain too much about that tonight. Now, there are some things I do want to talk about, but look, I'll admit it was a good win. It was a good win. Kev, what do you think, dude?
Yeah. Look, I think tonight was another example of these players. The players that we have are playing their absolute hearts out. and we sure appreciate that. But I mean, it was kind of like the same story it usually is. We come out strong and we open up a 14-point lead at halftime, or at halftime, and it's kind of been how the seasons went in the second half of the game. It just, I don't know what's going on. Are we getting out coached? Are we getting out adjusted? Or are they changing some stuff up? Or are we just running out of gas? I'm looking at the game, and it comes back to a 6-point game. At the end, we get outscored 41-33 in the second half. So it's like you wonder, can we sustain this kind of play throughout the conference season?
Until they show me otherwise, I'm going to say no for right now. It's one game. It's one game. And I'm already hearing about people talking about we dominated App State and we won the game. And look, I'm not puffing my chest out yet. All right. We're 1-0 in conference. That's great. We're still 3-9. Got a lot of work to do. So anybody puffing their chest out tonight and acting like, well, we showed all the haters, we showed all the naysayers. We're 3-9. We got a long way to go, but you got to take it one game at a time.
Yeah, it's great to win your first conference game, but when you have McNeese coming to town with one of your former players, and if you lose to them, you're now technically 1-3 in the Southland.
I agree.
Teams
yeah,
I get conference season is more important, but in the grand scheme of things, you're if you lose that game, you're 1-3 against Southland teams, and that's not acceptable for a team like us in any.
So let me ask you guys something. And I'm just to get an honest answer from either of you, which I know you give me an honest answer, but so okay, guys, here we go. Brace yourselves. I asked an open-ended question on the basketball fan page, the Facebook basketball fan page on Sunday after I lost to Lamar. And look, up until today, I've just been furious. Losing at home by 29 points to a 4-5 Southland team should never, ever, 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 ever happen to our program. Ever. I don't care if we've got nothing but a starting five of a bunch of walk-ons, okay? You should not lose to a 4-5 Southland school at home by 29 points. Most of us were furious. And so on the next day I said, what are our expectations, honestly? Football wants to go to the CFP. Baseball, Matt Degg says he wants to go to Omaha. Every time, if you ever talk to him, he's always going to say, Gerry, we're going to Omaha. Yeah, absolutely, coach. We're going. You're coming, right? Absolutely, coach. I'll be there. Which, by the way, if we ever go to Omaha, I already told Kayla we're going. So, and Kevin, I know you're going. Lane, I know you'll be there. So we're all going to take a fun summer trip to Omaha.
I told Shelby earlier, if we do go to Omaha and I have to fly, I'm just knock me out.
Come sit next to me. Come sit. Look, I love to fly. I actually almost became a pilot. I always wanted to become a pilot at one time. So come fly with me. We'll be good. I'll come. Be all right.
Stuff me in the equipment trailer and just let me right there, dude.
Right. Exactly. But anyway, so baseball, we want to go to Omaha. Softball, Allison Habits had said in her opening press conference, I am here to win a national championship. So it's safe to say what her goal is and what our goals are in softball. Basketball, it's make the tournament, make the dance. And sometimes I've heard Coach Marlin say, I want to make the dance and win a game. Sometimes I've heard they just want to make the dance. And so that was my question on Facebook was, what are our expectations? Because all these other sports are talking about making Omaha is like the Elite Eight of basketball. It's the final 8 teams, right? Softball, they say they want to win it all, win a national title. Football, you're the final 12 teams in a playoff. Is making the dance or winning a game in the dance or making the Sweet 16, how far should our expectations be? Are we popping champagne because we made the tournament? Or should we make the tournament and say, let's try to win a game or win a few games and make a Sweet 16 run? And should that be our overall standard? Help, a Final Four run, anything. Some people say it's unrealistic. It's never unrealistic to have a goal. right? It's never unrealistic to work for a goal. So I asked, and I said open opinions are good. And there were a lot of good answers. Some people said, win the conference, get in the dance. Some people said, maybe try to make a deep run. Some people said win the regular season. I mean, all answers. And I got a response from the coach's wife, and she said, across the board, basically all expectations are to make the postseason across UL sports. She said it's kind of an odd way to ask it. Why does basketball have a different standard? And I said, well, it doesn't. I don't think it does. I think I'm just asking because football wants to go to the CFP, baseball wants to go to Omaha, which is equivalent to the Elite Eight in basketball, and softball wants to win a national title. So does basketball have something like that, or is just making the tournament, just making the dance, the ultimate, the ultimate prize? And she said, and she came up with a good answer. She said, I think once you get into the tournament, you want to be able to win each game, right? You're not just going to get to the tournament, show up and lose the first round and be happy with it, right? You want to be able to take it one game at a time, which is how Cinderella teams are created. So I was kind of like, okay, it's okay. It's a fair answer. It's good. Well, then after that, a bunch of fans started going back and forth, and they started going back and forth with her and all this other stuff. And look, it is what it is, but it was really interesting because, I noticed there's a lot of impatience with the fan base through some of these conversations and some of these back and forths, and it got pretty ugly at times. And, I could feel the frustration within these conversations with between everybody. And, I'm gonna be dead honest with you guys. Like, I love open conversation about stuff like this. I think it's good. I think it's healthy, but tensions are very, very high within the basketball program when it comes to the fan base. Let's just call it what it is. It is. I said the other day that, or the Lamar game, I noticed the crowd, there wasn't many people there. I think they claimed like 1,100 fans. I think I couldn't make it, so I saw a picture. I think there were maybe 200 or 300 fans at the game. And, it was definitely eye-opening for me. We have a friend of ours to boot, big time basketball fan, took a picture of the exit, implying that he left at halftime. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of frustration. And so, talking about these conversations, and you go on the fan pages and you see people, and people like, oh, they're negative and they're criticizing and they're mean. It's like, well, but what have you given people for us to be happy about at the moment? You just lost by 29 to a Southland school at home. So I understand people's frustration. I understand people's impatience. And then there was the infamous quote by head coach Bob Marlin on Monday, and that infamous exchange, should I add, between Jamarcus Fitzpatrick of KTC and Coach Bob Marlin on Monday. And actually, if you don't mind, I want to play it real quick. If you guys want to listen in, give me 1 second. Let me play it. If you guys can hear it, we'll play it just for y'all right about now.
Why, at this point in the season, why should fans still believe in this team and in the staff and also yourself?
What? Repeat that, please.
Why should fans continue to believe in this team and the staff?
Because they support our staff. They support our staff. They support our team. They're fans. We've had a lot of success. If you hadn't looked around, I know you want to be negative sometimes, but we're not negative. I mean, you went and played a conference game, and you can ask me that. You at the game Saturday? No, I didn't think you were. You hadn't been to a bunch of them, so you don't know. But our fans support our team. Their university. It's what it's about. We're not going to win a championship every year. Go back to football. Mike and them had a tremendous team, able to host a conference championship game. They're down to their third string quarterback by halftime, right? It's hard to win when you're playing good teams like that, when you're outmanned at certain spots. Anything else?
Thanks, Coach.
Okay. So,
There's so much to unpack. I know.
first of all, I'm going to say that the question that Jamarcus asked was a fair question. Basically, he asked, what do you say to people that are getting it? Basically, he implied people have given up, people are impatient, whether it's the team, the players, the staff, you. What do you say? And that was a fair question. With everything going on, going into that press conference, the team's 2-9, bottom 15 in the net ranking. 1-9 if you really include the net ranking, because they don't include non-D1 wins. And you just came off a 29-point loss to a 4-5 Southland team in the Lamar in front of maybe 200 or 300 fans. I mean, that was a fair question to me. I thought that was fair. I thought Jamarcus, he had a right to ask it. I think he asked a question that a lot of fans want to know. And I think I think Coach Marlin got caught a little off guard by it. And you could definitely feel the frustration and the pressure that through his answer. When he says because they believe in the team, they believe in the staff, that's great. And he says, have you been to a few games? He asked him, have you been to a few games lately? No, I didn't think so. I haven't seen you. Help me out, guys. What do you guys think he was implying there? Was he implying that fans are showing up and supporting the team? Was he implying that because Jamarcus wasn't there, he wasn't seeing? Maybe he's not seeing what Coach Marlin was implying. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out, because lately, I'm going to just be honest with you guys. And I know, he's getting negative. Here we go. You're criticizing, you're being mean, but let's talk facts. We're averaging barely over 1,200 fans right now. Probably one of the lowest average attendance figures we've ever had in our history. We're 12th in the Sun Belt in attendance right now. And a lot of that is apathy. And unfortunately, a lot of that apathy, where fans have basically checked out, now they're coming back into the fold from being checked out, and now they're angry. There's some anger in the fan base and impatience in the fan base with everything going on right now. And so, I don't know. I thought that was a fair question. I don't know. I think the pressure is getting to Coach a little bit. I think that there's definitely anticipation and a sense of urgency with the coaching staff and the team to have to start winning games. Of course, tonight was a prime example. They showed that they were able to pull it off, but now you have to start doing that more consistently, because at the end of the day, the team is still 3-9 and they have not played well lately. Let's just call it what it is. And I don't want to hear about injuries. Look, I know Hosanna got hurt. Okay. But Hosanna getting hurt shouldn't have caused a 29-point difference to Lamar. Last week, we heard that Brandon Hardy was coming back, and I'm glad Brandon Hardy's back and he's healthy. But Brandon Hardy coming back did not change the fact that we lost by 29 points to Lamar. So I'm just trying to figure out. And then another thing too, Coach Marlin made a comment about, we've had a lot of recent success. And, I just want to break down a stat. And look, 2 years ago, we went to the dance. Okay. I ran a stat. I was kind of intrigued by it. Since 2018, since the NIT run in 2018, we've played 6 seasons of basketball. During that 6-year span, we've made the tournament 1 time. And in the other 5 years where we haven't made the tournament, do you want to know what our average finish in conference was or is? Take a guess.
10th.
5th or 6th average, please.
6. So in the last 6 years, we've made the dance once, and then every other year we've averaged 6th place in the conference in those 5 years. That's a big sample size. So my question is for coaches, no disrespect when I ask this, but we've had success with making that tournament run 2 years ago. But what about the other 5 years where we're averaging 6th place in the conference? 6th place in the Sun Belt's not good. It's not. And now we're 3-9. So I understand why people are impatient. I understand why the question was asked. I thought it was an appropriate question. And look, if you want to change the perception of of the fans, if you want to change the perception of how fans feel, you got to do what you did tonight against App State, and you're going to have to make a run, and you're going to have to make a convincing run against some quality competition. Starting with McNeese on Sunday. Let me tell you something. This little honeymoon tonight that we have, I mean, I'm happy we won, but it's going to all go away if Will Wade and McNeese comes in and runs us out our own arena, right? You're going to be 3-10 going into the Christmas break and the New Year's break. So, we're going to have to start making a run if we want to right this ship. And right now, look, tonight was great. Beating App State 1-0 in conference is great, but it's one game. We have many more games to play. And, we're going to have to go on a tear to right this ship. And it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill climb. Thoughts?
So when he compared his 2-9 basketball team to a 10-2 conference championship competing football team.
And it's the second time he's done it, by the way. That's the second time that's happened in the last 4 years.
He just expects us to treat it the same way. He just expects us to be blind and have blind allegiance, which, look, we're always going to support the Cajuns win or lose, right? But in the same sense, are we just going to sit around and watch us lose to Lamar and almost Southeastern and probably get blown out Sunday against McNeese? Let's just be honest, right? He expects us to sit around and watch that and not ask the questions that need to be asked. Like you said, I think Fitz asked a great question. I agree. And I think it upset him because either it upset him because he knows what's going on and he just deflected it and said, well, have you been to any of these games? Like, seriously, he's doing his job. He sees what's going on. He's asking this question on behalf of fans. And that's the answer you're going to give him. So does he know that? And he's just deflecting it and just trying to steer it away from the blame going on him, which is where it belongs. He's the leader of the program, right? He's the captain of the ship. It all falls on you. Or is he really that unaware of what's going on? I mean, does he not look behind him during the games and see 200 people? I don't know. I'm like you, Gerry. It's either it's one or the other, and I'm not sure which one it is.
I think for the football thing, he mentioned because we've been hit with injuries, and I get that, right? Look, he talked about Chandler going down, and you go in with a freshman quarterback, and you're expected to win a championship. But the thing is, we're still playing in a championship, So yes,
we don't losing 2-9 with Chandler either.
Did losing that game suck? Absolutely. Did the injuries affect it? Yes. But at the same time, you were good enough to actually make that game. There's 12 other teams in the conference that didn't play in that game like we did, and we got to host it. So this idea that you can compare an injury in a championship game where our team was good enough to make the championship game, unlike a team that just lost by 29 points to a 4-5 Southland team and is 1-2 against Southland competition, it's really apples to oranges. And this is the second time that's happened because there was a comment that he made in 2021 after losing to ULM. And this was when the Sun Belt still had divisions in in basketball, the East and the West. And there was a comment where he said, this isn't like football where the Sun Belt West is easy. It's a lot harder in basketball. And I'm thinking, okay, let's put some perspective in when these comments were made. This was made in early 2021. Your football team just won a share of the conference title. Your football team finished 15th in the country. Your football team was 10-1 on the year. And your football team almost lost their head football coach to a bunch of P4 schools. Meanwhile, your basketball team just lost to ULM. Why are you how can you even compare those two? I mean, that's where sometimes I understand the fans' frustration with the current staff. And I know it's taboo for me to say that. You can't say that, but it's true. I'm not going to lie. It's the truth. That's what we do at Rage and Review. We tell the truth. And the truth is, comparing apples to oranges there, was maybe not the smartest move. And right now your job is to encourage people, maybe say, hey, you know what? We're not playing right now, but these guys are playing hard. Even HUD, his last press conference, there was a reporter that asked him a very similar question. You're losing fan support. Fans, why should fans believe in you? And he said, look, right now it's been tough. I understand the fans' frustration, but I just want to let Cajun Nation know that we're getting off probation soon. We're getting a lot of our players back. All of those rules that were against us, we're finally able to kind of continue business as usual. And hopefully we right this ship and we want Cajun Nation packing Cajun Field like it used to be. We want to go back to the days where we were going to bowl games every year and putting 30,000 at Cajun Field. That was his answer. This is an answer a week before he was fired. I mean, so there are appropriate ways to answer it. I don't think it was the brightest answer to say, have you been to a game? And, I understand, like, if the fans and they support the fans and support the staff, that's great. But a little bit of reassurance and a little bit of encouragement of, hey, we're practicing hard, we're playing hard, come support these players. I guess that would have been maybe a better answer. I don't mean to sound politically correct, but I don't know. That was a really, really awkward exchange at a really, really crucial time. There's a lot of animosity right now with fans. There's a little bit of frustration, and nobody has to get mad at me for saying that. Just go to a game and look at the crowd. There's a lot of outspoken fans all over social media. I understand the impatience. Again, the results speak for themselves on Saturday when you lose by that many points to a Southland school. So, anyway, Lane, I'm sorry, man. I cut you off. Go ahead.
So there's a lot to unpack for this whole situation. I feel like Jamarcus asked the right question. The question that a lot of fans were probably don't get the opportunity to ask coaches. So I feel like Jamarcus was speaking through the fans. But I don't want to put words in his mouth. But just like you said, the whole exchange seemed odd and weird, and it just didn't make sense the way he reacted. I guess, like Kevin said, he got caught off guard or whatever. But as fans, we do support the team. We do support the university. But when we're in a constant battle for 6th place every year, people are going to give up and want change. And that's not wrong for fans to want that. Because, obviously we want to win more often than we lose. And I've been to a few games this year. Not very many, but I've been to a few of them. And I know we over-report attendance a lot across all sports, but
hey, I'm okay with Troy math. I'm okay with Troy math all over, right?
Yeah, but to say that we had, I think they reported 1,300 fans in the Dome tonight. When I saw pictures beforehand and during the game, there may have been 400 or 500. But like the games that I've been to, there were literally 200 people, 300 people. I could count. Even on the side that I was on, I could count. So his statement that, there's still the fan support, but there's not when you see 200 people in the gym when you used to get anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 on any given night. And I also, this might be a little controversial for me to say, and I don't really say things like this often, but no matter what sport you coach, your wife or your wives or your relatives should not attack fans on social media. That's where a lot of the pushback and anger comes from fans, because I saw a few comments from her basically saying that, because you're not a part of such and such club, that you're not really a fan or you don't have the money to support the program and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, people take time, money, and energy out to support this program, and they make comments like that, I feel like it puts a bad taste in people's mouth. And
I agree with that. Look,
that's why it is the way it is.
We always get told at Rager Review that whatever you say reflects UL and reflects the Cajuns. And I'm thinking, and does this also apply to other people and other things and other situations where maybe somebody that's closer associated with a certain program or a certain school, does that not apply to them? Especially when people associated there are on your payroll, because we're not on the UL payroll. we're unaffiliated. So why does that a rule have to apply to someone like us, but then it doesn't apply to them? Especially, and I'm not just talking about this one instance. I'm talking about in general, any coach's spouse, any coach's family member getting into it with fans, basically your customers. At the end of the day, I'll keep saying it, like, we're fans, but we're also customers. And when you start talking down to your customers, the people that you're trying to generate revenue from, then that's when it becomes an epic disaster. You can turn it into a disaster. So, we like to get lectured on there's a time and place for certain things. Well, there's a time and place for certain things to the other party as well. And that includes message boards, that includes social media, that includes, local fan forums and whatnot. And I've told that to people associated with the program, that have been in that situation. I've told them, I said, look, the second a family member signs on the dotted line to become a coach or an administrator, you're looked at differently. You're not just the regular person that everybody knows as, oh, look, that's so-and-so. Now it's, oh, it's so-and-so. Like, I got to go talk to him. I feel important talking to him. Like, there's a certain stature that comes with that. And so, yeah, Lane, that's a good point. I think when it comes to families of coaches, I think that you're going into a lion's den when you go into those message boards, especially at a time when the teams are facing adversity and the team may be struggling. You're going to get frustrated fans. It's part of the game. Not everybody's going to be pleasant to want to talk to. People are going to be mad. People are going to be frustrated. So no, it's a fair point. It's a fair point, especially now. Again, there's some tension. There's some tension between certain parts of the fan base. There's certain tension between certain groups that may be closely affiliated with a coach or two on the staff, compared to regular, ordinary fans that follow the team on a regular basis that may not write a $20,000 check. And what's unfortunate about it is because of that relationship, I have no problem if you want to be friends with the coach. I mean, we know the coaches, I have no problem with that. It's when you act like your opinion's more important than somebody else's because you know the coach. And that's where I'm just like, no, this is all of our program. This isn't just your program because you write a $15,000, $20,000 check. This is all you don't get exclusive like this. The Cajuns is all of our team. So when we win or lose, we all go through it. Just because I'm friends with the coach does not excuse a bad performance. I mean, look, there have been times I've been upset in other sports that we know coaches that have a relationship with coaches. Heck, Nick's brother is a baseball coach for the baseball team, and we've lost some disappointing games in baseball, and we haven't been happy about it. We've expressed it. That doesn't mean these people are bad people, but getting emotional over because, oh, I'm friends with the coach, so you can't say anything about our basketball team. Well, guess what? When you lose by 30 points to Southland schools, I'm going to say something. If you don't like it, flip the channel, turn it off. Don't turn this off. You don't have to watch. But some things that wasn't acceptable. And I know there's a lot of tension right now. Look, we're 3-9, and I know I sound like I'm doom and gloom right now, but look, it's been a slow start this year. Tonight was encouraging. I hope that they can continue this, but again, you got McNeese coming on, a good McNeese team coming on Sunday, and they're sniffing for blood. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Speaking of McNeese and Joe Charles coming back to town, do you think they'll play like a welcome back video or anything like that?
No, they won't. No. And let me explain something about McNeese. Yes, they're 5-5, but have you seen some of their losses? They went to Mississippi State, or they played Mississippi State the other night, who's number 25 in the country, lost by 3, should have won that game. And they have an 8-point loss to Alabama, who I believe, are they still number 1 in the country right now, or at least top 10? Yeah, I mean, there you go. Lost by 8. So this is a good basketball team. And they're going to be, they're looking out for blood. And so, if we could play like we did tonight, we have a good shot of beating them. But if not, if they start one thing again, App State didn't sink many shots early on. McNeese is going to hit some shots early on. We're going to have to be able to counter their energy. They're going to have to be counter their intensity. But if we're going to have to play our A game on Sunday to win. We're going to have to play our A game on Sunday to win. So we'll see. But Kevin, final thoughts.
Yeah, I can tell you this much. Karen Crow Joe is going to be a one-man wrecking crew Sunday. And I think everybody knows it. Look, when you're losing players to schools with less money than you in the portal, which is what, like we say, this usually comes down to, there's a problem. And then when you got a small group, let's just say it, this little club of however many people it may be, is not many, holding our basketball program hostage, and they're wondering why these players are leaving. It's like McNeese's NIL budget, NIL collective is $500,000. Ours is $1.28 million, and they're trying to say, oh well, they're leaving for NIL opportunities. No, they're not leaving for NIL opportunities. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. They're leaving because they know the state of the program, they know the direction it's heading, and they know there's a giant issue across the board. It starts at the top, and they don't want to have anything to do with that. And when we've heard it from players, we've heard it from players' parents. We all know what's going on. And meanwhile, you got the coach's wife alienating diehard fans on social media, basically telling them if they don't make enough money, they don't have an opinion. I mean, seriously? That's what I got out of it. I read the whole conversation, and that's what I got out of it. And this is not the first time we've seen that from this person and the other person, like you said, that maybe writes the big check, but does that give you the right to talk down to people? I just think that's the main issue with the whole.
Well, look, if you give money, that's great. Okay, that's fine. Look, we need donors. We need big donors. But with just because you write a check doesn't mean the program standard changes.
Yeah,
that's the point. Like,
program.
Yeah, just because you look, I'm glad. I welcome the fact that people write big checks. That's great. But the standard of the program doesn't change because of that. It doesn't mean that the standards are now your standards. It's not. The standard of the program is to be the best program it can be, not be the program of based on how much money you write in a check. I mean, if Brian, look, Dr. Brian Maggart always says for RCAF donors, he calls them investors.
That's what they
We're
are.
not just RCAF donors, we're investors. If you expect me to invest in a program that has no direction or decides to talk down to people that may not write a bigger check, that's not an investment. That's a charity. And my question is, do you want to be a charity to have this type of connection with the program and feel important? Or are you really investing in the program? Is it an investment or is it a charity? That's where we have to decide on some of these things. And so I think, again, there's tension, and I understand there's fans that are very impatient, and I get it. I'm frustrated with everything that's going on. I mean, I don't like being 3-9. And look, we still encourage, I will say this, we encourage people to still support the players. Absolutely. I will say that we're always going to have the backs of the players, but don't use the players as a crutch to treat the program like a country club. I know Hosanna's hurt. By the way, happy birthday, Hosanna. I know he had a birthday yesterday, but again, that doesn't, don't use him as a scapegoat for losing to Lamar by 29 points. When you lose to Rice by 22 points, well, man, I wish Hosanna could. I mean, we see comments on social media with people, oh man, I wish Hosanna were here tonight. Dude, we lost by 22. Unfortunately, he probably wouldn't have made a difference. Don't use someone's injury as a crutch when you get blown out. Just own it. Have some accountability. Look, we played bad tonight. We look like crap. Just say it. I know the players feel that way when they play bad. Man, we didn't play well tonight. Man, that sucked. Own up to it. Own up to it and move forward.
Yep.
A bigger issue is when you have local guys who are from the area leave the program after they've been here a year or two. There's a much bigger issue than, they're just leaving for NIL.
Well, look, we're going to find out. We're going to find out fast. We're going to find out fast on Sunday. We're going to find out fast on January 2nd when we really get into conference play against Coastal and go on the road to Georgia Southern. We're going to find out in the month of January. January is going to tell us a lot. We have some big competition coming in January, right in the heart of conference play. We've got Texas State. We've got Troy. We've got Georgia State on the road. Georgia Southern on the road. We've got, again, Coastal Carolina. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule right now in January. We'll know by middle to the end of January where we stand. I mean, let's see here. We go to Coastal, go to Georgia State. We play, Old Dominion should be a winnable game. We got ULM, should be a winnable game. Then you got Arkansas State. Then you go to ULM, which we lost at ULM last year. Then you got Texas State, Southern Miss. I mean, look, January, a lot of these games are winnable games. Ironically, they're not hard games. But again, you're 6 games behind the 8 ball. I don't care if we make this massive run to close the year. A 500 record or worse, to me, is a failure. Yeah. It's a failure.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. And usually a 500 below record means you finish probably anywhere from 7th to 10th place in the Sun Belt Conference. I mean, we're a weak conference this year. That's a failure. So, look, you got.
Only a certain amount of teams make the playoff or the conference tournament this year too.
Yeah, it's a weird 10
to 12 teams or whatever.
It's a grind. It's such a doggone weird.
It's
format.
It's all based off of your final conference ranking.
Yeah.
So basically, like, I think if you won the conference standings, if you're on top of the conference standings, you only have to play like 1 or 2 games to win the championship, as opposed to the 12 or whatever seed, you need to play like 7 games. So it's interesting.
Exactly. Well, guys, I'm getting tired. It's getting late. We've talked a lot about football. We've talked a lot about basketball. Again, we have a big showdown on Sunday against McNeese. If you want to go to the game, tickets are as low as $7. So you can probably get them online. The beauty of Pacquiao, man, it's been great. No crazy Ticketmaster fees anymore. A $7 ticket no longer costs $30. You can actually pay $7 plus maybe a few more dollars, like $10 total with the fees and tax. So tickets are actually affordable now. Praise the Lord. That's nice. So if you get the chance on Sunday, I'm pretty much going to be there. I'll be there at the Cajun Dome on Sunday. Lane, I'm sure you'll be there, depending on your work schedule. Kevin, you plan on making the trip to the Cajun Dome on Sunday?
No, I got a lot of Christmas family get-togethers this weekend. We're going to be in Delcom. We're going to be in Patterson. We're going to be all over.
All right, nothing wrong with that. Shoot, man, it's yeah. I mean, that's basically it, man. That's basically it. Christmas coming up. Getting everybody get your last minute shopping in, get your last Amazon orders in. You're gonna have to probably get the 1 or 2 day shipping, right? Pay the extra to get all those gifts in. Wrap your gifts, get your Christmas plans ready, your parties, where y'all are going, families you're visiting, all that other fun stuff. And we'll talk more about that on Sunday. But guys, any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, a couple things. I just wanted to say real quick, if any players listening, the players that do stay, choose UL, and choose to bypass the whole transfer thing, we thank you. I mean, we talk a lot about the ones that leave, and I think Dez or Coach Leje maybe mentioned it, but we need to talk more about the ones that choose to stay. So we appreciate all of y'all. We appreciate y'all choosing the culture and choosing Louisiana. Just looking forward to the bowl game. I know it's a little while away still, but looking forward to it. I think it's a big game. I think people need to try to get out there if they can. Have the watch parties. I'm sure maybe Adopted Dog will do something. We just got to try to send this team out with a bang any way we can.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the bowl game as well. It'll be good to see us matched up against another P4 team with an opportunity to win our second P4 game of the year. And I'm looking forward to Sunday afternoon when we play McNeese.
Yeah, Lane, we're gonna come sit with you. I think I'm bringing the whole family, so we'll come find you. We'll hang out together, have a beer. Hopefully, it's not like $20. The dome foam is like unaffordable now.
Also, Gerry, I wanted to say I appreciate your shout out on the post game show last weekend. I wasn't really able to listen after the Marshall game, but I showed Shelby that, and she also really appreciated that. So thanks to you, Nick, Josh, and Lane, and all the guys.
Look, let me tell you something, dude. You're a prime example, and that's why we've become friends over the last couple of years, and we've really gotten to know each other. But the drive and the loyalty that you and Shelby have for this program, to drive in from Patterson every day or every game, and to basically schedule your weekends around UL games. I wish we had thousands of more like you, that would drive in, come to the games, plan everything. And look, I know we all have families, we all have other obligations, but there's a lot of people out there and a potential market out there like you and your wife that we could easily find if we create that personal attachment to them. And I think if we can do that and build that type of fandom in those people like yourself, then this fan base could be in a lot better place. And I think it's growing. I think there's a lot of things we can do. And look, like I've said before, we're brainstorming behind the scenes. Don't think that we just come on here and yip yap about Raging Cajun Sports on this podcast. Don't think that's all we do. We do a lot behind the scenes to try to cultivate fans and try to grow this fan base because, I have visions of what this program can be. Not just by, it's not the simple, well, you got to give money. I'm not talking about that. I mean, obviously everybody we all have to donate some kind of way, but also the passion. I'm talking about the raw intangibles of what makes a fan base great. And that's passion. That's love for this program, the love for the Cajuns. And, I see it. There's many times I do see it, but it never hurts to make it even bigger than it already is. So definitely appreciate what you guys do as fans and the14dedication you have. And I wish I hope there's a lot more like you in the future.
There is. There's look at Super John, man. Super John.
Yeah.
Florida.
He comes from Florida. That's right.
So that's right. There are plenty of diehard Cajuns fans. I think a lot of people around the state don't realize that. And I'm a good example of a guy that didn't even attend UL. I didn't even go to college, I went straight to work out of high school. You don't have to go to UL to be a fan. I ain't going to call you a Walmart fan, That's a whole
Kevin's a Walmart Cajuns fan. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. No, but I'm going to tell you the difference between
they don't sell Cajun stuff at the Morgan City Walmart, so you can't.
Yeah, but you put your money where your mouth is, and you dedicate a lot of your time spending money, giving to RCAF. Like, you put your money where your mouth is. There's a difference between someone like you or someone who wears a shirt on their team and doesn't go to a game. They just watch on TV and they yip yap the whole time.
Shirt. I mean, or whatever color shirt. But look, even so, stuff like that, fans like that, even if you're just a casual fan, we'll accept it. That's fine. If you want to play 1 or 2 games a year, great. Throw on a red shirt, great. Just if we can get more people around the program and to buy in and come to games and see what's going on with all the in-game improvements, at least football-wise. Obviously, our baseball fan base is outstanding, and I think we have a lot of fans like that already. But as a university as a whole, can get more fans like that just buy into it and just be around it and not actually have to be attached in some sort of way to the university. I think that's great. I think that's great for the program, and I think that's what you see from a lot of SEC schools or Big 12 or ACC or whatever it may be. So, hey, if we're trying to get up to that level one day, that's what it takes. That's what we need. We need more people just to get on board, and even if it's small, just support the Cajuns.
Couldn't agree with you more. Lane, what you got, dude, before we go?
I am tired. That's what I got.
Sorry to keep you up, man. Sorry to keep
good.
you up. No, it's late night. Late night Rage and Review after dark, right?
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Just a reminder, if you like what we do, please like, subscribe, show us some love. We're on Facebook, X, or formerly known as Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. You can listen to us on Apple iTunes as well as Spotify. We'll be back once again, hopefully Sunday evening, to talk about the Cajun showdown with Magnice in the Cajun Dome. We'll also once again preview the bowl game, the New Mexico Bowl, one final time before next Saturday's showdown between the Cajuns and the Horned Frogs of TCU. Also, just of note, we'll also discuss what our plans are for Christmas. Christmas is almost here. Even though it feels like spring break season and I want to go to the beach, Christmas time is here and 1 week away. I guess I got to listen to more Christmas music to get in the groove of things due to the fact that it's 80 degrees outside. But anyway, guys, just to let y'all know, once again, we'll be back Sunday, and we want to thank y'all for tuning in. Lane, thank you so much for being my partner in crime. Kevin, thank you so much for joining tonight, buddy. Please don't be a stranger. As always, you always add great content to our pod. Once again, guys, we will be back on Sunday for the third time, but nothing but love to Cajun Nation. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your week. In the words of the late, great Big Dave Thibodeau, bye. We out of here. We'll see you on Sunday for more Rage and Review. And as always, go Cajuns.